Angreifen! Gegnerische Flugzeuge kommen! Wir werden angegriffen! Das Schiff brennt! Sturzkampfbomberstaffel, starten! Sturzkampfbomberstaffel, fliegen auf! Gegner schwer beschädigt! Angriff beginnen!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. I'm in an aircraft carrier. How did that happen? Well, Wargaming is putting out new ships faster than I can have a look at them, honestly, at this point. But there is there's a German aircraft carrier. Well, not just one. There's multiples of those. I mean, we do have some German aircraft carriers in the game, but now we have more of them. And these are actually tech tree aircraft carriers, not just the premiums. So, we're starting this show off with the Rhein, with the Tier 4 German aircraft carrier. Now, before we get to the particularities of the German aircraft carriers, a fair warning. I'm not very good at carriers. I think we've established that, but if you're new to the channel, aircraft carriers are one of those things that I don't particularly enjoy an awful lot, especially those with a lot of torpedo bombers, because, you know, I'm old and I find it difficult to control all these little wings and on a small screen. So that's probably the main reason. But yeah, it's just an excuse for saying that I'm crap at aircraft carriers. Anyway, this is a Tier 4 carrier, so this is not too bad. Did this carrier exist? Probably not. Well, as I said, probably. For sure it didn't, because the only German aircraft carrier that actually existed as an aircraft carrier, or at least a partial one, was the Graf Zeppelin, the one that we have as a premium at Tier 7. This thing, not so much. That is not to say that the Germans didn't consider building aircraft carriers. In fact, the Germans actually considered building an aircraft carrier in the First World War. They just never gotten around to it, because they were, well, as Baldric would have said, there was a bit of a war going on at the time. So all the effort went elsewhere. But they were considering converting, I believe, a cruise liner that they were having reserve. They were building for the Italians at the time into an aircraft carrier, which would have made it extremely top heavy. So that never really happened, because they didn't have the materials or dockyard capacity or workers or just time for it, because by the time it was 1918 and the war was sort of over, and nobody wanted the aircraft carrier anymore. And the Italians for sure didn't want the cruise liner anymore, because with all the inflation going on, it would have been gotten rather expensive for them. So that did not happen. That is said, the aircraft on this carrier actually existed. And then this is rather interesting, because this carrier carries dive bombers. These are the Heinkel HE-50. These dive bombers were actually built for the Imperial Japanese Navy, but were pressed into service by the Germans when the war broke out. So these are interwar models, they're biplanes. And we also get torpedo bombers, the Arado AR-95B. These things existed as well, and were used as sort of scout planes. And these were actually, I'm not sure which one's which here, honestly. The Arado should have been seaplanes, actually. But yeah, none of these are seaplanes because it's obviously fictional. But they were actually the prototype, sort of, for the later prototype planes that were supposed to be the torpedo bombers and the Graf Zeppelin. So this is all not extremely far-fetched. Now, I think there is a line drawing of the 1918 draft of what they were going to do with the Italian. And I don't think it looks like this. I think the stern was falling off a lot more than it is here, and the superstructure does look different as well. But right, so most likely this is a fictional carrier, and not even from an existing design draft. But it's not completely fictional in terms of the planes and also in terms of the armament. So let's start looking at the armament, the moment we've all been waiting for. What is special about the German aircraft carriers? Why am I sounding excited when I'm reviewing a carrier? Well, obviously it's a Tier 4 carrier, so it has no armor. So most likely this is a converted ship of some sorts, or some form of escort carrier. It has no armor. It has very, very few hit points. It is very quick for a tier 4 carrier with 25 knots, and it is also reasonably maneuverable for that. It doesn't have any guns. Well, that's not technically correct. It has guns, but it doesn't have any that you can actually control. It has no main guns. It has no manual secondary guns either. It has auto secondaries. And these are 88mm flak cannons, pretty much. Dual purpose in this case. It's got 4 of them. They've got a relatively decent range for this low caliber of 5.7 kilometer. They don't do an awful lot of damage, obviously. But and they don't have enough penetration to get through anything, so most of the time they're going to do 50% only. But they are going to do some damage. And sort of the nice thing about it is that you don't need to control them, because, they just exist. So if anything gets within range 5.7 kilometer of this carrier, these guns will start opening up. And you don't need to do anything about it. Which means you can focus on controlling the planes, of which we have, well, 2 sets. First of all, we've got 2 squadrons of dive bombers, and we already mentioned these are the Heinkel HE-50s, the biplanes. One thing that you notice here is that the dive bombers don't have a fire chance. That's because they don't drop incendiary bombs, they drop armor-piercing bombs. And which means that these can theoretically citadel things. And I say theoretically. It's not particularly common, right? And it obviously can't happen against destroyers, but like light cruisers, occasionally you might get a citadel. It's not mentioned here, but I believe the citadel bonus is at 150%, similar to what you have on a 150mm gun. So it's not going to be a huge uptick in terms of damage, but it's a bit more. It just feels nice. Let me put it this way: it feels nice to citadel something with an aircraft carrier. The torpedo bombers. We have 1 squadron with 2 bombers in it, each of them having a torpedo. And the thing that will stand out if you know anything about aircraft carriers in the game is that these torpedoes are rather quick, which is good, but we'll get to that in a minute. The AA is obviously the aforementioned 88mm guns. So for a tier 4 carrier, she actually does have some AA. And the concealment isn't bad, 7.2 kilometers as well. So, right, so if you have played carriers before, you're probably keenly aware that one of the primary methods of dealing damage with a carrier is by setting permafires and permafloods. Yeah, not with these things. You can't. Well, you can set a permaflood if you get really, really lucky. Because let's actually compare that thing. Not this one. That one, and compare it to the let's take the American tier 4. What was it? The Langley. So let's add that. Can I do that from here? No, I can just do it from here. Okay. So let's compare the Rhein to the Langley. Now here are the 2 things that you actually notice. AP bombs. They have strong penetration power, but cannot set fires. Now, the interpretation of the word strong is something worth a little bit debatable. But, and yes, we've got the secondary guns, which are doing the auto thing. But what we're interested in is to see what the difference is in terms of planes. So obviously the Langley it's got a lot more dive bombers, because the Rhein only gets 8 of them. This is an escort carrier of some sort. The bomb damage and health are pretty on par, but obviously you're not going to set any fires with this thing, which is the main method of actually dealing damage. Now, obviously, given that the Langley doesn't have any torpedo bombers, we kind of have to add these, and then the difference in total planes is not actually that great anymore. Also, it's tier 4. Nobody's got any AA anyway, unless you be bottom tier, and some ships might have a bit of AA. So, but yeah, you can't set any fires. So be prepared to not do an awful lot of damage in this thing, because your main, not in this one, let's do the Americans away again, in this one. This one's prettier though. Sorry if to say that. It also seems to have rather big torpedo bulges on the side. And that is another hint that this is actually a converted cruise liner of some sort. Because usually the problem is that a ship that hasn't specifically been designed as an aircraft carrier tends not to do very well with having most of its weight very high above the waterline. It tends to make them a bit unstable. So one of the countermeasures that the Germans were considering was to fit thick bulges on the side, and to actually build a concrete armor around the waterline, just to produce some ballast that would reduce the amount of instability that you get out of these ships. So maybe that's what that is. I don't know. Well, but we don't know for sure. Right. So setup, equipment. You can choose between getting a little bit more hit points or getting the faster preparation time. Faster preparation time sounds like a good thing to have. So that's what I'm going with. You can choose, whilst tier 4 you don't have a lot of choices, you can choose between getting more dive bombers or getting more torpedo bombers. So the choice is relatively obvious for me because I'm crap with these things. Give me more dive bombers, please. Especially that we don't start out with an awful lot to begin with. Propulsion sounds about as good as anything, and steering gear mod in slot 2, because it's tier 4 and it's German and it has guns, and you know what that means. Supplies slightly different. I have actually put the extra AA ammo. You could always flip that out for the high grade coal, but given the frequency in which lower tier carriers are trying to carrier snipe, this is okay. This is another one of those topics. All right, let me preface this with I don't condone that, because I think most of the time you're wasting a lot, because you're flying over the enemy fleet, which means your planes get shot down. Maybe not in tier 4 so much, and you're spending an awful lot of time trying to kill the enemy carrier. Time that you're not spending doing anything useful for your team, like spotting destroyers or taking out low health ships or something like that. So I don't condone that sort of behavior. That said, it is something that these things are unfortunately pretty good at, because the armor-piercing bombs can citadel things. And carriers, especially in lower tiers, are not particularly known for having very well armored anything, really. So dropping armor-piercing things from the top on these tends to have relatively devastating effects. Also, they tend to hold still, so it's much easier to torpedo them. But still, I don't condone that sort of thing, so no one come around and later say that they carry a snipe because Terry told them that was the right thing to do. I'm just saying that it is uncomfortably easy with these ships. Anyway, the better planes and just generally better planes consumables is what I'm normally flying with here. Commander. Not an awful lot you can really do here. You don't have any ship skills yet. The higher tiers will actually get ship skills. We have a very short sneak peek at the end, because I've just gotten the tier 8 today actually, and I haven't even tried it yet. But we'll have a very very quick sneak peek before we get into the battles. But there's not an awful lot of surprises. You probably want down the road the close quarters expert for these, because, you do have the secondaries on these things. So far, I haven't seen any 150mm main guns, which was slightly disappointing. I was hoping that the tech tree carriers would have these as well, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So it would still be a useful skill. And yeah, because of the captain build thing, we're going to have to have a quick look, because I set this up before I've seen the tier 8. So that's what we've got so far. So it is really marginal. You can't get a historical camo for these anyway. You can put this one on. That's actually quite pretty. It does look like it's been designed for this. Look, even the little banner at the front, at the bow is matching up. You see that? Like this. But once again, I didn't have that when I was actually recording the battles, so we're just going to stick the standard camo on that and be done with it. So before we get into the games, a very quick look at the other tiers. So far, what we know is the tier 4, the Rhein, the tier 6, the Weser. Both of these are in the Blitz Pass, in the paid one, but be aware these are tech tree ships, so you're only paying to get them 2 months or something earlier than everybody else. And I've seen the August von Parseval at tier 8. Now, this is big. That's a chunky boy. And this thing, we're going to get a review, maybe. Tier 8 carrier, not so sure. But this thing actually gets the secondary overload and the defensive AA on it. So that's quite exciting. So yeah, just for your captain skills, higher tiers will get the def AA. So that's something you probably want to go to. The other thing, there is actually a you do get Günther Lütjens as a captain, and he is actually it appears to be somewhat specialized for aircraft carriers, because he does get he gets the improved close quarters combat expert. Now you could use that on a battleship as well, but he also gets the plus 3% AP bomb damage. So that goes to show you that that's a thing. And you get the plus 15% citadel damage as well. But you could also use him on a battleship, totally. So that would also be a thing. Anyway, but that's not what we're here for. later. I'm gonna throw that out. We're just gonna look at the tier 4. There we go. All right. So what do we have? We have a carrier with which cannot set fires unless you're counting the auto secondaries. It has 2 torpedo planes, and that actually we haven't looked at. The flooding chance of these torpedoes is 8%. So no, you're not going to set any floods either. So this, in return, the torpedoes are really quick. It only has 1 torpedo squadron, and it is pretty fast, maneuverable, and it has auto secondaries. So I like this ship. This is not because it's a good ship, all right? So you're not going to do damage records in these things, but it's a fun ship, and it feels like it suits me because it nicely compensates for all the things that I'm crap at. So it has more dive bombers that I don't need to mind. The torpedoes are very fast, so it's actually quite easy to hit things with these torpedoes, even though they're not doing an awful lot, but it's still easy to hit things. Much easier, I find, than in other carriers. It's relatively difficult to dodge them, presumably, as well then. And, it's tier 4. So, and it's got guns, so you can sail around and shoot things with it, which is always good, even though you can't actively actually use the guns. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's actually have a look at some gameplay. In the first battle, it's a 5v5, and we're actually bottom tier. So we're up against Hosho, Ichizuchi, double Ichizuchi, Phoenix, and Clemson. So the only tier 5, the only tier 5s are 2 bots on each team, so it doesn't really count. So it's really a tier 4 game. Let's go that. We are playing on Scorching Islands. I like that map. It's a nice map. So it's a nice lower tier map. And no need to mind any fighters or anything. So at this point, we're really going to just start. It's just the start of the game, so or the start of the line, really. So first things first, we're going to get our dive bombers out, and here's a weird bug that the whole enemy team gets spotted. So I'm going to pretend that I've seen that Ishizuchi, and then just go and send some planes out there, and leave that Clemson alone because I don't abuse bugs like that. And once it gets actually spotted, then I would have sent the planes this direction anyway. We just got an earlier lock on, so now I would have actually spotted the Clemson. But yeah, I've got the torpedo bombers here, so we're just gonna go and see how that comes out. And yeah, you can see 1 semi-pen, 1 full pen, and we did a citadel on the Ichizuchi, so that started out nicely. Okay, I have no idea if this is gonna hit, but I am actually moving too far forward. You have to be careful not to pull an ergo maneuver in this thing, because these things are actually quite quick. They're quicker than tier 4 battleships, that's for sure. So I want to tuck myself in behind that island. Nope, not the zoom, Terry. Use the plane view. There we go. Zoom is completely useless because you have no guns that you can actively use. Now I'm spotted, but that's just a bunch of bots over there. Now, how do the armor piercing bombs behave towards destroyers? Well, it's actually not that bad. Like, obviously they can't citadel him, but haven't really seen an overpen. And okay, I'm not sure if that's a bot Clemson actually. I'm assuming it is. No, Clemson wasn't a bot, was it? I can't remember. I haven't looked, but the name looked like a bot, so I'm just sending my planes out against the battleships. Anyway, these things are coming down this way, and the Clemson is buggering off anyway, so maybe it may have been a bot. Okay, then let's try to hit that thing. And we're starting to score secondary battery hits, as you can see. That's the bot Congo. So the bot has got closer targets proximity-wise than me, so I can focus on this Ishizuchi, because these guys are actually coming down here, and he's going to be dangerous in about a minute or so, when he's made his way. Now, the dive bombers aren't particularly good at, well, dive bombing, really. Sometimes they hit 2 bombs, sometimes they only hit 1, but they're not doing an awful lot of damage. Like I said, right, you're not going to do a lot with these things. It's really more for fun and entertainment and saying that you've been in a carrier. But I don't know, there's just something noob-friendly about this thing that just appeals to me, if you know what I mean, right? Like, for example, oh, I've dropped my torpedoes too far back. Not a problem, the torpedoes are quick, you're going to catch that anyway. Okay, now I am going to have to sort of cycle around a little bit, because there's another Ishizuchi. There's 2 of the buggers, so I'm going to keep the island between myself and them, and just keep dropping stuff onto them. There's also a Phoenix, I'm going to have to look into that in a minute, because he's heading for the capture circle. But I have battleship problems, and yeah, you have 17,000 hit points and no armor, so these things can make short work of you. Yeah, that you don't want to be spotted by those. So I am going to slightly reverse a bit. Yeah, that Phoenix is starting to worry me. He's not looking at me, well, he can't see me. We got a couple more torpedo hits in, and we'll just keep whittling them down, really. But, while maintaining our island cover. The other one is coming around behind the island, so the secondaries are starting opening up, and the things can see me, obviously. So back off a little more, get as much island as I can between myself and these things, and just keep dropping. The Gangwood is defensive here, and we're equal on points, so we still got to make something happen. Okay, dive bombers, and I need to move the ship again. Okay, at this point I'm just going to go forward, and I actually got a flood on the Ishizuchi. Unfortunately, well, he's probably going to damage that. Or not. Well, be my guest not to. Okay, I don't think he's seen me, but this guy is coming a little close for comfort. So we're gonna go full on forward and see if we can help sinking that ship there. Okay, dive bombers out, and then we can use the torpedo bombers against the Ishizuchi that's chasing me right here. Let's hope that he's shooting at the Gangwood. We'll find out. But I'm probably faster than him. So I know I've seen the Phoenix over there. I know that he's right there. Yeah. Okay, someone's been shooting at me. Yeah, that's the Ishizuchi. Okay, that's a bad thing. But we're behind on points, and it's getting a little crowded in here. Okay, let's try to sink the Phoenix and see if we can do something with the dive bombers. But I think we've actually managed to cap out before the enemy team could win on points. So there we go. That didn't go too badly, did it? I mean, obviously they could have deleted me twice in the last 2 minutes if they had actually paid any attention. But you know, it's bottom tier games, right? What are you expecting? Well, low tier games in general. So that was actually not too bad. I'm rather proud of myself. Let's do that again, shall we? In our second battle, we're up against the Langley this time. It's once again tier 5. So there's New York, Rhein, Omaha, Karlsruhe, and an Isokase. No destroyers on our side. So it's a bit unfortunate in a domination battle, but we'll see what we can do. What do we have on our side? Lots of battleships. But we do have an Emerald and a Königsberg, so that Isokase hopefully runs into somebody, especially the Königsberg, who can make short work of it. So first things first, we obviously need to go and scout. So I'm going to scroll up there and then send a dive bomber out in this corner. And then send the second wing out there. And then just send the torpedo bomber somewhere in the general direction of this place. Okay, let's see what we can spot. And get ready to drop some armor-piercing bombs on it. Anything? Anybody? I mean, if I see the destroyer, I'll drop something on it, but nobody's spotted so far. Oh, no. Okay, we've got Omaha. Omaha is good. It's a good target. Hopefully we can get a citadel on that thing. We've missed, and we've completely missed. That's what I mean. The dive bombers are a bit crap. And I think that Omaha actually went a lot slower. Nope, I've still managed to get the torpedoes in the bow section. See, that's what I mean. Fast torpedoes. Compensating for inept carrier pilots in 2022. Okay, one more go. I don't want to sit back here, especially not with that thing coming around. But at least he wasn't bombing me, so that's much appreciated. There's a Karlsruhe over near ACAP, and I mean, we have 2 ships there, but I'm gonna head over that way. I still don't know where the destroyer is, but given that nothing's been captured, I don't think he's actually dangerous. Because if the destroyer isn't capping. So yeah, generally setting permafires on bots is always a good thing. I'm going to drop some torpedo planes in that general direction. And once again, we've got aircraft coming in. I don't think these torpedo bombers have hit. Oh no, they're actually still going. Oh, there's the Izukaze. Okay, I'm going to see if I can hit him. Nah, forget it. I'll just hit the bot. Maybe I get a permaflood out of it. You never know. But that Karlsruhe is on low health, so let's see if we can finish that thing off. Both dive bomber squadrons sent after it. And I think that battleship on our side was a bot, so I'm going to have to go and capture and go and cap A myself. But, okay, come on. And they missed. He's on like 1 hit point or something. You must be kidding me. Alright, if we can get into... we'll finish him off with the torpedo bombers. But I would have said if we can get into secondary range, then we could have done that. But... we'll finish him off with the torpedo bombers, and that should be about good. Okay, let's get past that island. That should be a dead Karlsruhe. Yeah, I got him. Okay, what else we got? We've got the Orion over there. The Izukaze is somewhere on the other end of the map. And that Ishizuchi was dead anyway, because he was all on his lonesome around C-Cup. But yeah, we are behind on points. We do need to actually do some capping. So I am going to help out the closest target, which is the Orion over there. Drop, and I think all the bombs have missed again. So yeah, like I said, it's not a great ship, but it's fun. It's quick to move, and it can use its guns if it needs to. So yeah, let's start heading out again. Okay, there's the enemy carrier, and yeah, remember what I said about carrier sniper? I'm not carrier sniping, right? We're almost down to 2 minutes. This is legitimately targeting the carrier at this point. Because I'm not sure that Conte de Cavour may be able to get around the Orion's guns there. And I think the Izukaze is chasing down that battleship on the other side. I really should be. I really should be trying to torpedo the destroyer. But then again, you know, the dive bombers can't even hit battleships. Yeah, he's not threatening any capture circles. So let's try to get the enemy carrier out of the way and help out the Conte de Cavour down there. Okay, the Izukaze takes out the Dante Alighieri. That was an Italian battleship, right? He only had to load the semi-armor piercing. Ah, well. It looks like the Conte de Cavour is getting the Orion down, but just about so. Whoa, that was a close kill. Is he going to burn down? I think he's going to burn down. Yep, he's going to burn down. So it's 3 versus 4 at this point, and we're behind on points, but I am going to be able to kill that Langley. I was hoping for a citadel on him, but hasn't quite happened yet. But someone else is also shooting at him, so I can divert the dive bombers to something else. Now, the Izukaze might have killed our battleship, but I don't know where he went. He's not been helping controlling the capture circles. There's an Omaha. Now that thing looks like he is going to be... okay, and the Emerald takes out the Langley. So let's focus on the Omaha. And we are leading on points now because we've been holding 2 caps for most of the time, because I've been capping A in a carrier. So let's get the once again cruiser. Cruiser is a good target, and we want to get a little closer, not too close. Okay, still no citadel and no dice, but at least we hit him with the bombs. Let's see if we can get some torpedo hits in. We are ahead on points, so unless we're losing a lot of ships, and we still have one of our bots. We still got the bot Ichizuchi. So let's get the Omaha lined up for a torpedo drop, and with the normal carrier that might have missed, but not in this thing, I still got 1 hit with the torpedoes in. Okay, there's the Izukaze again. We should be almost in secondary range for the Omaha. So we don't want to be shot at by the New York though, because that thing can probably delete us very, very quickly. But it's 26 seconds. The Izukaze is not going to make a difference anymore. We have almost managed to kill the Omaha. And I think we are far ahead on points that even if we lose the bot, we should be still good on points. And maybe I can get the Omaha. Let's see, 10 seconds left. contemplating to grab the Isokaze, and I think he just turned. Yeah, well, I fluffed it. Could have had it, but it's okay. We're still winning on points, even though we lost something. So it's all good. It worked out in the end. Yeah, if you're a capable carrier player, you should probably hit the destroyer first. That Isokaze was doing a lot of damage that could have been avoided, but you know. I had better targets to shoot at, and in my credit, I did capture A. So in a carrier, that wasn't too bad, was it? Yeah. So the tier 4 German. How much did the Isokaze do? It wasn't actually that much. 16,000 damage. I thought it would have been more. Yeah, you see, the most dangerous one was the Omaha and the Langley, and I killed the Langley. Did I? No, I didn't. I just killed the Königsberg. But somebody killed the Langley, and I helped. And I also helped with the Omaha. I almost got the Omaha if I hadn't fluffed my final torpedoes drop there. Anyway, so that thing, it's a beginner carrier in my opinion. It's extremely forgiving, and it's not going to do an awful lot of damage, but it's great fun somehow. It's fast, it's maneuverable. You can have exciting games where you're dodging, destroyer torpedoes, and you know, all kinds of fun in this thing. So I'm enjoying that actually. I have tried the Weser at tier 6, and that was pretty good as well. I haven't tried the tier 8 yet, but I might give it a shot just to see how it behaves. But that thing's got two fighter wings, so that sounds like work, and I might not end up doing it. But I'll give it a try. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.